Okay, I'm making a remake on this video, my fourth remake due to bullshit I had to put up with. But anyways, this video is gonna be I'm gonna be making this video to tell my story about Pixies, or another name to call them is Fairies. My experience, my story, well, my experience with Pixies and Fairies. I've actually witnessed them. I've actually seen them in real life, and I'm creating this video to tell the story. Anyway, so this took place at my grandma's house. Well, in one of her houses. She owns a house here in Rapid City, South Dakota, and then she owns another house in a small town 3 hours away from Rapid City, South Dakota. And this is a pretty nice house, and it also has a guest house, a little cottage behind the house she owns, which I used to stay in. And this is where this experience took place. And it looks like a little cabin, a little wooden cabin, like a little fancy wooden cabin. It had windows on the roof, so you could actually see like the sun shine through the windows and all that. And it had tile floor, like the floor was tiled out, really nice. There's 3 rooms to this little guest house. You had the bathroom, which was with a shower, and it was a nice shower, like glass shower and all that. And then you have the kitchen, and then you got the living room, which was the bedroom too. So it's kind of like in a way, like a little studio apartment. But I had my computer set up in there. I had my Xbox One. I had a bunch of pictures hung up on the wall. Like I had pictures printed out of the ancient Egyptian gods and goddesses and some of the megalithic sites around the world, like statues dedicated to them and temples. And with these pictures, I also had pictures printed out of artwork, like art that showed cities like on other planets, like cities that were like comparable to like Star Wars cities, like you'd see on their newer movies and all that. And I would combine these pictures with the ancient Egyptian pictures, and I would make like a, what do you call it, like a flèche or something out of the picture itself. Like I would paste all these pictures together and make one big old picture out of it. And I had quite a few of these hanging up on my walls. And then I had my satanic altar set up in my room too. And this was back when I was very involved with the JOS. Not with the ministries, because I was never really involved with the ministries, but I was definitely involved in the e-groups and with other members, and always asking questions and answering questions as well, like doing my part to help out. But anyways, though, one night I was sitting here in the cottage. I was sitting at that cottage that I used to stay at, and I had a little futon bed set up, and I was sitting on that little futon bed, and all of a sudden I started hearing humming, like and I kept on wondering where that humming was coming from. I kept on saying to myself, I said to myself, it's probably electronics, or probably my air conditioner, or my refrigerator. But the last thing that was on my mind was anyone making the humming, like especially like a pixie or a fairy. But so I shrugged it off at first, and then about 10 minutes later, I started hearing the humming again. Same old hum. Like it was like humming a little melody. And this time, the second time, it kind of hit me like maybe this is a real being I'm hearing. But I shrugged it off again, like it was just like it was nothing. And then about 30 minutes after that, I hear this humming again. And this time, I knew there was something to it, so I tuned into the humming. I started concentrating on the humming. And when I was concentrating on it, the more in tune I got with it. And as I did that, and I want to tell this very fast before I continue on with the story, and I just hope I don't lose my place in the process due to this little parasite attached to this little parasite attached to me. I just hope it doesn't make me forget. But anyway, so I remember seeing a video, a science video, not too long ago of a person that got into quantum physics and all that, and he would make these videos like about how fourth dimensional creatures would reveal themselves to third dimensional creatures, and they would do it by like for instance, I'm looking at my computer speaker, and if a fourth dimensional creature wanted to show itself to me, my computer speaker that I'm looking at right now would suddenly form a face and then like a little mouth. And so how fourth dimensional creatures would appear to third dimensional creatures would be through solid objects, like, you know, for instance, anything that could take on the shape of a face. Like, I'm looking at one of my fake trees in my room. I have 2 fake trees, and while I'm looking at this tree, like, I'm looking at the fake leaves, and then we got the stem, and the fake leaves, like, it could form a pattern within those leaves to where, well, the pattern would be the leaves itself, but the leaves would, like, it would look like, it would be like a smiley face. Like, the leaves would take on the pattern of a smiley face. And this is like how one way fourth dimensional creatures can show themselves to third dimensional. Objects, solid objects, would start merging into that creature and taking on that appearance. But anyway, so I think this fairy, this pixie, the humming I was hearing, was actually electronics, but as I got more in tune with the sound behind the sound behind the sound of the electronic, somehow this fourth dimensional creature took on form through this object, through the sound. But anyways, though, I started as I got more in tune with that sound, more in tune with the humming, I remember, and I shit you not, I was looking down at my my tiled floor as I was trying to focus in on this humming, and the more I got in tune with it, it started making out, it started becoming a voice, like a voice, a humming voice making out a melody. And then my floor, and I am not making this up at all, my floor actually started turning into grass, green grass, and my walls started moss started appearing on my walls. Like, my walls was covered with green moss, and my satanic altar too. And the sunlight that was coming through the windows on the top of the roof started to give off a green tint. And then, as I was looking at my floor, I happened to turn my head to where the humming was coming from. And what do you know? There was 2 pixies, two fairies on my altar. One of these fairies were dancing. Well, it was one female and one male. And this female was making that humming noise. And as I was looking at this female, they were wearing clothes. They were wearing clothes like it was like the dress this fairy was wearing. It was like purplish, and there was designs on it. And I got the sense like this clothes, like the clothes they were wearing, were actually like part of nature in itself. Like in a way that they were made out of like leaves, but there was like white dye on it. Like, these were like clothes, but but they were like made out of nature clothes, you know? Or maybe there was like fabric. I can't remember much of the detail, but I remember that I was looking at these 2 fairies on my altar, and they were real, very as solid as I'm looking at my hand right now, and as solid, it was as real as this cup that I'm holding up right now, and with water in it. I'm holding up a little Starbucks cup with water in it, and that's how real that these fairies were. And like, I was staring at them for about 3 seconds. The male was like watching the female. He wasn't doing no dancing or nothing like that, but the female was like doing a little twirl dancing. It was kind of like a ballet dance or some shit. But as I was looking at this female, as I was looking at both of them, they suddenly, it was like no more than 3 seconds until they started realizing I was watching them. And the reaction I got from these beings, these two little pixies, was they were extremely frightened. They were scared, and they right when they noticed I was looking at them, the female, she ran to my candle holder. I had a silver candle holder on my altar. I had two of them, and she actually ran into this candle holder and literally merged with the candle holder itself. Like, she became one with the candle holder. And then I looked at the male. He ran. I had like a little sack, like a little silk sack. Like it was like one of those Crown Royal silk sacks. Like, have you ever bought like a liquor bottle, a Crown Royal? And with the Crown Royal comes a box, and you have the silk sack that you put the Crown Royal in. I had one of those Crown Royal silk bags that I got from my brother, because he's a drinker. I'm not a drinker. I don't drink alcohol. Me and alcohol, we never mixed. He's a drinker, and he's far more of a people person than I am. Like, considered by society standards, I'm a loser, crazy nut. He's your typical average man cave kind of guy that you know, is able to party and everybody kind of likes him and this and that. But anyway, so I took one of these silk bags from him, and I used to use one of these silk bags as I used to put my rune stones, my druidic rune stones, in the silk bag, and I would use these rune stones to do the rune meditations that the JOS offers. And all these little rune stones were made of quartz and all that. But anyway, so this male pixie, the man pixie, the man fairy, it jumped into this silk bag and it merged, like the female merged with the candle holder. This male pixie emerged with my silk bag with the rune stones in it. And I remember when it did that, when it jumped inside the bag and like literally became part of it, I remember there was this glow to the bag, like the bag itself glowed, like a bright light engulfed it, and it glowed there for about 2 seconds before the glow went away. And then as I was looking at them, I was approached by 3 or 4 thought forms, and these beings could have been real, but I had the sense that they were thought forms, and they took on the form of have you guys ever seen the movie The Predator? And with Arnold Schwarzenegger, or Predator 2 with that black dude, that Los Angeles cop. But you know how the Predator goes into invincibility, like it has the invincibility cloak. Like when it turns invisible, you can still see it in the real world, like the outlines of its being and all that. But you can't see the details of the being itself. But that's exactly how the form. That's exactly the form that these thought forms took when they approached me. Like, they were all invisible predators, but I don't think they were real beings. They were thought forms, but they didn't take the shape. They took the shape of the invisibility cloak, but they were humanoid. Like, they took the shape of human beings. But they rushed me, and their intent was to get me off tune with the reality I was experiencing. Like, they were fearful that I was going to see more than what I already should have saw. And they didn't want me seeing those fairies. They didn't want me to be in tune with that reality. And they came to me, and they put their I remember they put their astral hands on my head, and they started messing around with my brain, and then right away everything started going back to normal. Like the grass on my floor, it went away, and I started seeing my tiles again. The green sunlight, it went back to normal. And the moss on my walls, on my altar, and it went away. And it's like I went back to the normal reality. But a question even today, was this a parallel universe I experienced? A different dimension? Or what exactly was this? Because this dimension literally merged with the dimension I was already in. And I was seeing these beings broad as daylight. But I went this whole dimension no longer than like 30 seconds, it felt like, before I went back to the real dimension. But it was an experience. I almost want to say I was experiencing all this for about, it felt like a couple minutes, but it was no longer, I don't think no longer than about 30-40 seconds, but I was in a complete different reality, completely. And maybe anybody that's listening to this isn't going to believe me anyways, but I saw what I saw, and I went to where I went.